All right, CNT120, Chap4Lab. We're moving on to UDP. Now we're going to generate some DNS traffic so we can see a UDP header, but our focus really is on UDP. So remember UDP, that's your layer 4 protocol, that's your transport layer protocol that's there to move data through quickly. So things like voice or video or any like traffic that needs to happen quickly is going to use UDP. So things like DNS, things like DHCP are going to use UDP. That way that protocol gets to move through quickly and there's not a delay. So let's go to our packet sniffer over here. Excuse me. We want to clear these out. We'll do our edit filters. This time we want to look at DNS and we're going to go to miscellaneous and we're going to pick UDP. Where are you? There you are, right there. Okay, those are the two protocols we need selected this time. Oops, I think DNS was still, actually, I think DHCP is still on the list. So let's do, we want to do UDP, and then we're going to go back here to DNS. There we go. I think I left that one clicked by accident. There we go. Now we got it. We got DNS and UDP. So what we are going to do, excuse me, open up the Philadelphia laptop. We're going to browse to our fictitious web server here, CNT.org, and that'll generate some traffic. So let's go to our laptop here, Philadelphia laptop. Open up the web browser. Then we're going to open up the website that's over here, the CNT.org. You can do it, little browser. We'll do www.cnt.org. Give it a second. Give it a second. If need be, hit it again. And there's our web page loading from our HTTP server right here. That should have been enough traffic to generate what we need to see on the packet sniffer. So I'll go back to my packet sniffer. And we have some DNS traffic, which is what we need. So now that we have that, we should see a DNS request and a DNS reply, if you will. But we'll look at the first DNS over here. And again, it really wouldn't matter what we're looking at here, but we're just going to pick the first one. That should be the DNS request. The other one should be the DNS reply coming back from the server. So again, look at your Ethernet header, destination address, that should be the server. The source address 9EDA, that was our laptop. That should be a MAC address we start recognizing now. Here's your IP header. We'll get to some of this in a little bit, but we can at least look at source IP coming from the laptop going to 30.2. That is our DNS server. So that makes sense that the destination is going to 30.2, the DNS server. Now let's look at UDP header. Nice and short. First thing we want to note is there are not many header fields. As we look at TCP in a little bit, we'll see a lot of header fields. So we have a source port, destination port, length, checksum, and then the actual data, which would be this information down here, the DNS data down here. Very short. Well, the source port, 1024, that's coming from our laptop browser, if you will. That's a high port number. The destination port number 53, that should make sense. That's one of our port numbers, our register port numbers. 53 is for domain services, domain name service. So that is that service running on that server. So there's my source port coming from the browser, destination port on the DNS on the server. Now, if I were to click this second one, hopefully we would see everything flip-flop. The destination 9EDA, that's going back to the laptop. Destination 3076, that's the laptop. Destination 1024 laptop. Source 53 coming from the server. So we did indeed see all those flip around. So this up here was the request going to the server. Hey, does anybody have that address? And here's the reply coming back from the server. Here it is. And there might even be a reply. I don't know if it shows much down here. It does not. But this would be the reply coming back. All right, I'm going to go back to my first DNS that I highlighted. And let's gather our proof here. We want to capture the source port number and the destination port number in our text file. So let's go over here and we're going to do, we'll put a note here that this is part 3, and we are looking at UDP. And we want the source port and destination port. So again, if we just kind of carefully copy the source port, right-click copy kind of thing, we can paste it in and then paste the destination port. There's our source port coming from the browser. Oh, get back here. And then here is our destination port 53 on the server. There we go. So there is my UDP looking at those port numbers, looking at those header fields, there wasn't many, and then those port numbers coming from my browser going to the DNS service running on that server. So I'm going to save that file. I'll come over here, I can close my sniffer, and then I'll come over here and save my packet tracer file, so I'm keeping my progress. All right, we'll come back in the next podcast and we'll look at TCP.